As I speak to you this week, Jewish communities throughout the world are observing Yom HaShoah, the day that marks the events that took place over 70 years ago when 1/3 of the Jewish people were lost through the terrible events that occurred between 1939 and 1945. It's interesting that the Jewish community always marks this day, Yom HaShoah, on the 27th day of the month of Nisan, which corresponds to the date on which the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising began in 1943, which marked the last desperate resistance of the Jewish people in the face of incredible odds. The world community remembers Holocaust Memorial Day on January 27th, the anniversary of the liberation of the Auschwitz-Birkenau death camps by the Russian army. In either case, the day is meant to commemorate and to recall the terrible events and the terrible actions that human beings can perpetuate against one another. In the Jewish community this week, we will be lighting Yom HaShoah candles to remember the victims and to remind ourselves of the terrible price that persecution and hatred can bring about. I want to talk to you today about the question of remembrance. In the aftermath of the Holocaust, the Jewish people in the world cried out, "Never again," implying that we would never again allow the genocide, the mass killing, the ethnic cleansing that occurred during these years of war. We would never allow that to occur in a post-Holocaust world. But tragically, that has not been the lesson of history. In the years since Yom HaShoah, we have marked many genocides and mass killings. And whether they occurred in Cambodia or Rwanda or in Bosnia or in Syria today, the world has sat back and continued to watch as innocent victims, men, women, and children, non-combatants, have suffered the terrible price of mass extinction. We vowed back then that we would not sit silent, that we, the world, would never allow the atrocities that once occurred to occur again in our lifetime. And yet here we are today, just after the horrible news that many, many people died or were injured in a gas attack in Syria in the outskirts of Damascus. It is not enough for us as human beings merely to make empty declarations. We, the Jewish people, above all others, must realize that empty words not followed up by actions will not change the world in which we live. As we light our candles this week, let us not only recite our memorial prayers, let us not only remember the innocent victims who perished over 70 years ago, let us not only tell the stories of heroism of rescuers, both Jewish and non-Jewish, who saved segments of the Jewish people in their hour of need. Let us also commit ourselves to guarantee that we do our part to create a world in which hatred will be vanquished, in which calamity, destruction will no more occur. My message to you this week of the Holocaust is to remember the past, and through your actions, as well as through your thoughts and words, guarantee that such events will not happen again. Thank you.